Congratulations on making it to Module 10. It's all probably starting to feel pretty real for you now. And this is, I think, where a lot of that all comes together. It's the visualization, it's the dashboard of your entire business, your pitch deck, it's your financials, it's you signaling to the world that you are getting ready to launch. It is when you go out and you start talking to people and you start to master your elevator pitch, your story, and all that kind of stuff. And you're really starting to figure out exactly how to dial all of that in. So Module 9 built your engine, your financial logic, your milestones, your runway. This is how you display that clearly here in Module 10. Investors are evaluating clarity, discipline, and credibility. So this marks the shift from project into an actual company. So let's start with your checklist. You've got your market, your problem, your pricing, your legal structure is clean, your ownership is documented, you've got your financial model, it's built, it's tied to milestones, your early go-to-market inputs are defined, and if you disagree with anything I've just said, if you've got any major gaps that still exist, you should go back and you should fix those first. So go ahead and go back to one of those other modules, go ahead and click through it again until you can get those questions answered. So for where you are right now, what actually counts as traction for your stage? So if you're pre-launch, something like a paid pilot, a deposit, a letter of intent that's signed, confirmed buyer conversations, you've actually documented what they've said, commitments from partners, strategic partners, vendors, strategic partners, distributors, retailers, anybody that actually leads you to a pathway of getting funding from a customer. If you're early MVP, it's going to be paying users, your initial retention data, feature usage, upsell signals, demands from customers for additional features. If you're already launched and sold and maybe you're at the enterprise level or you're government, let me come back to that actually. If you're selling a physical product, it's something like sell-through data, reorders, distribution commitments, your sales velocity. If it's something where you're enterprise or government, so it could be things like your procurement progress, pilot agreements, budget confirmation, a named champion internally to the agency that you're trying to sell to. If you're deep tech, it can be things like technical milestones, prototype validation, progress on a given grant. Traction is evidence of movement, and that is what people are looking for that continued flow. Next up is team, co-founders, and vendor strategy. If you're a solopreneur or a founder and you're just you or maybe a couple people on your team right now, this is where it really helps to fill in all of the gaps. Ask yourself where you might be the bottleneck or where expertise gaps exist. Look at fractional roles that you might be able to bring somebody on before extending your wallet to a full-time hire. Maybe you can bring on a vendor or a consultant that can fill in a gap for you, or a temporary worker, a virtual assistant. Maybe there's an AI process or tool, something that you can add to your tech stack that'll help fill in any of those potential questions. That's what you're looking for, red flags before the investor sees them. Advisors and vendors, they really can increase your credibility very, very quickly. So you want to borrow that credibility. Maybe you can partner with a university or another large company and borrow that logo on your slide. Maybe you can get featured by some press or some media outlets. Again, that's something that we can help you with. So go ahead and check our bot marketplace or jump on a call with us to find out how. Once you have all of that information, you've got your vendor strategy, you've got your traction and your checklist, your market, your problem sizing, etc. Now you're ready to start putting this into actual materials. So where do you start? Well, in today's day and age, I don't think I've been involved with a single company where people haven't asked for a 1 or a 2 pager. So you definitely want to have that. That's just an easy thing to send. It's going to have things like your problem, your solution, the market, a little bit about your business model, some traction, and your raise. Okay. Usually, unless you're Further along, it's probably going to be good enough to be on one page. So you're just keeping it high level. What you're trying to do with this is really just gauge interest and get to that next conversation. You can use a two-pager, but only if the context truly requires it. Perhaps it's something that's overly technical or requires a lot of explanation in terms of context. Maybe your deep tech, something like that. Next, that's going to bring us to the pitch deck, right? The holy grail, the classic pitch deck structure. You want to keep this 10 to 15 slides total. And this is kind of the gold standard of what you want it. You want to talk about your problem, your customer, your solution, the product or service, whatever it is that you're actually, whatever your solution is. You want to talk about the target market. You want to talk about your business model, your go-to-market approach or strategy. What traction do you have so far? Your financial snapshot. You want to talk about the next steps or milestones or kind of where you're headed. The team, who is in your team, and then finally the ask. So what is it that you're asking from the investor, and what is it that you're willing to give to them? There is a little bit of flexibility on the order, but that is kind of the general order. A lot of times you'll see people put the team slide up front. I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but it really comes down to you and your storytelling. That's how I look at it. If it's easier for you to start with the story by starting with your team, perhaps it's critical to the problem or the solution or how you guys came up with whatever it is that you came up with, that's totally fine. But otherwise, this is kind of the general framework. Problem into solution, into the market, into the model, into the traction and the financials, and then the ask, okay? And then again, the team slide it can be moved around a little bit. Okay. Most of these slides should be one page, one slide only. There's a couple of them that can expand into two slides. Those generally would be the go-to-market, the competitions, landscape, the market slide, right? Kind of the market overview slide. That comes right after the solution and before the business model and the go-to-market. Or sometimes the solution if it's a really complicated solution, and then sometimes the financials if you've got a lot of really healthy financials. That's okay. Oh, we have a whole bunch of examples here that you can link to on our page with resources. I think I have a bunch of my decks that I've used to successfully raise money that you guys can download and actually use as templates and examples. So feel free to plug away with those. What to show for investor financials. So usually you'll see the pitch deck and then it'll be accompanied with a financial package. So in that, like in the deck itself, you might have just like one slide, and on that you're gonna highlight some of the importance, like your revenue, your spend, maybe your contribution margin, maybe customer acquisition rate, things like that. It really all depends on kind of your specific product and industry. But in your full financial package, what you're going to want to include is your full 12 to 24 month financial projections. So that's going to be your detailed projections for the first year. You're also going to want a 5-year less detailed financial plan of where you project 5 years out. That is also how people will use to calculate your valuation. And then the other major metrics that you want are your burn rate, your runway, your raise amount, use of funds, what you're actually going to use those funds for. You'll also want to present your high level kind of basic unit economics. So things like average revenue per user, LTV, customer acquisition costs, contribution margin, things like that. If you're SaaS, if you're more product based, it's going to be knowing what your average sales price is and your cost of goods sold. If you have a distributor or a retailer, what are those cuts? What percentage markups and margins do you have? So those are kind of the main things that you're going to want to be able to speak to. Now, in the AI era, again, you want to use AI where possible to accelerate any of these things, whether it's you're creating your website, your decks, your outreach, prepping your data room. And again, shameless plug, feel free, give us a call, book a meeting with me directly, use our bots. Our bot marketplace is super helpful for a lot of these things. and then and then I want to see where it can be helpful with you. And if you complete the full module, you'll actually get 50% off of the bot marketplace for the specific bots that are applicable to you. Now it's time to move into action. So I want you to use some of the tools that we have. Again, free for you right here. I've got the pitch deck outline templates that we talked about. Go ahead and use those at your will. And then we've got an investor narrative worksheet that's going to help you work your elevator pitch and clarify your story. So when you're actually reaching out to different investors, you want to stay really tight and concise, whether it's on the phone or in person. A data room will give you data room examples. So you want to have that with your financials and all your key documentation, traction signals. And then again, one more reminder, just tie your ask clearly to those milestones. The final question, are you ready to raise? That is the question to ask. Create a self-check before you begin your outreach. Can you defend your assumptions? Can you clearly and logically explain all of your milestones? Does your financial model support your narrative? Is ownership clean, documented? And if the answer to any of those things is no, then feel free to return to the earlier modules and then come back. This is at your pace, not at mine or anybody else's. With that said, this module helps you translate operational discipline into investor-ready materials, and you should now be able to present your opportunity clearly, show credible traction, and defend your financial logic. Next, we will focus on IP, intellectual property, and competitive positioning, ensuring that what you're building is actually protected and defensible. Okay, I will see you guys there.